Go.
Good evening. It's Thursday night. It's 6 o'clock. I'm going to apologise in advance for the echoiness of my computer. Those of you that have moved house recently will understand when you walk into an empty house, there's a very echoey noise, and I'm in a pretty much empty house this evening because I moved myself recently. So hopefully the sound's okay. I'm joined this evening by Andy Mead of Mead New Homes, specialising in selling new developments off-plan and ready-built. And then below, Michael Childs, who is our property expert in Buckinghamshire around High Wycombe and the surrounding villages. So, gents, thanks for joining us. Do appreciate it as ever.
Lovely.
Andy's looking unseasonably tanned. We're finally joined by Sean. Sean's joining us. Sean, who looks after Hampshire down in Basing. So, evening, Sean.
How's it going? Sorry, I'm late.
Very well, very well. We're 30 seconds in, so you haven't missed anything apart from my echoey room, which I've already made my apologies for. Andy, we were just comparing you to Leeds players due to your tan and dance moves. I hope you're well from your holiday. We're here this evening to talk, obviously, property market. We're right at a point now where I believe we're about 8 weeks from Christmas, 9 weeks from Christmas. So as an estate agent, we can sort of very firmly predict what's going to happen for the rest of this year, because if you haven't sold your house by now, unfortunately, 95 to 96% of people won't be moving before Christmas. So we kind of know what's going to happen, what's in the pipeline as such, and how that's going to affect the early part of next year. So starting with Andy, it's been a bit of I'm going to use a long word, tumultuous year 2023 for new homes. I read an article this morning, I think, which said the amount of spades going in the ground is at a record low of new home developments. Where are you for where's the new homes market for the rest of 2023? What should buyers expect if they walk onto a new home site? And where's the predictions into next year?
I'm trying to think of words without swearing, because it's just the most annoying, frustrating thing in the world. I'll speak to developers on a daily basis, and they are all they're not pulling their hair out because they've pulled it out. It is embarrassing how little planning applications are going through. And it is causing a massive, massive impact in the whole of the new homes housing market. And it's not going to change. And I hear what Keir Starmer said in the week. And I actually said to somebody today, he was having a meeting with a solicitor who echoes what I was saying, that because we're in such a slump with the property market, the planning market, it's, is it right for Keir Starmer to come in and see what he's going to do? Yimby, I think he used the word Yimby. Yes, in my backyard, not the old NIMBYs and what have you. But unfortunately, that's what he needs. He needs it needs to get sorted out, because it's causing a massive, massive, I think I used it last time, bunghole in the planning sector, and it's just causing massive, massive problems for a lot of developers.
So the clickbait in the media is that developers and on BBC News, quite frankly, they're traipsing around new homes, building sites in the Midlands and in the North, and there's site managers moaning that they can't get properties sold. Is that misleading from the media? It's not the problem in selling the properties; it's the problem in actually getting the ability to build them in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, there are some developments and some developers that are still looking at prices from 2021, 2022, where they're not there anymore. We all know that, and there are developers that are reluctant to listen to the fact that the prices have come down. They think because there's a shortage of new homes being built, people are going to pay over the odds for a new home, but they're not. People, buyers aren't thick. Buyers know what they're buying. yes, the North, Manchester, Liverpool, Leeds, Derby, they're all prolific in terms of what they're building. But yes, they're still selling, but they have declined in what they're building. They have slowed down the build because the market has slowed down.
So, Mike, second-hand houses, the normal residential market, as we would kind of term it, I'm seeing reasonably regular numbers of sales as a whole. How are you finding it, and what's happening from your perspective?
Quiet in August, busy in September, and that's kind of continued into this month, into October as well. There is a lot more choice out there for buyers, though, and they're taking their time in choosing. They've got to make sure it's the right property for them. So they'll view one, they'll tell me they love it. I think, great, what's your offer going to be? And then they're off. They're viewing another 6 or 7, and it's usually 6 or 7 of the similar type of property, and then they'll come back and revisit. That's what seems to be happening. A lot of second viewings. I've got a third viewing booked in tomorrow, so they're really sort of shopping around really before making a decision. But there's a market there.
The return of the third viewing.
Yeah, the third viewing. But I think there's a market there because everybody on the second-hand resi side of things, if you're buying onwards, your property's cheaper than it was last year. So everybody's in the same boat. But I think that's completely different with you, Meady, with the new homes. I think developers are just sort of hoping the glory days of last year will come back and they can cash in.
I think a lot of them are invested. That's the problem. Is that a lot of the developers are invested in, unless they bought the land 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, and had it as their land bank. If they bought the land last year, the chance are they would have paid up here.
Yeah, the price is baked in, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's the problem we're finding nowadays with land deals at the moment, is that you've got material costs has gone through the ceiling. You've got labour costs has gone through the ceiling. House prices have gone down that way. So something's got to give with land values. You're not going to get land values up here anymore. You're going to get land values down here. And as soon as the landowners and a lot of estate agents realise that, they're not going to be going in with stupid, ridiculous valuations with land that's now just sat on the open market, not going anywhere. Now, you three all know as well as I do that when before this year was a site with planning permission ever on the market?
No.
Just never ever got to the market. It didn't need to.
No, it was a closed shop. You always sat and wondered how people got hold of this stuff, but it was I'll only sell this to a certain person if I get something back in return. It was very much a
it wasn't so much that. It was a case of if you had an oven-ready site in terms of it had the planning permission and everything sorted out, you could phone 2 or 3 of your competitors that and say, "I've got this. Are you in the market to be building now?" And they'd buy it. Now, if you drive down the high street and see a fully consented site available, one problem. There's one problem with that site. The owner wants too much money, or the agents told him too much money. And we had a prime example. We had a buyer for a site in December of last year, and the price was all agreed. Another agent went in there and told him we can get them 25% more. Lo and behold,
25%.
Yeah,
punchy.
Yeah, very punchy.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, 10 months later, there's still a board outside saying site available. It's just absolute mind-numbingly thick business to do that. And I'm sorry, but that's what it is. Why you're not the only person you're kidding is yourself. The only person you're kidding is your boss when you say, "Oh, I've got this brilliant site, it's on the market." Great, you're going to spend the money advertising it. There's going to be one annoyed landowner because he had a buyer, but he's now not got a buyer, and the land that might have been worth 1.2 million is now only worth 800,000. So he's lost 400 grand.
Sean, talking over pricing, I've got a theory about buyers, which kind of connects to what Mike just said. I feel like a year ago, if a house came on to Rightmove or the agent's website, people would call on day one, and now they're going to call after week 4 because they're going to sit and they're going, oh look, that house is on the market, that's suitable for us, and then just wait 4 weeks until it gets reduced. What do you reckon? Is that right or is that wrong?
No, it's definitely right. I think people are asking me that question even on viewings. Is this the original price or has it reduced already? It's especially if I'm sadly seeing a lot of fall throughs in Basingstoke at the moment, and people are thinking, well, the sales fallen through, does it need to reduce? When actually the chain might have broken down further down the line. Well, we've still got a buyer in place, or that seller's still got a buyer in place, and I think people are trying to negotiate in any way they can. Just like Michael said, there's a lot of choice out there, and people are kind of just doing what they can to try and get anything off. So, whereas it's crazy because some of the properties I've recently sold in Basingstoke have had like 10 offers on, but each person is ballsy enough to kind of ask those questions. So people are definitely holding back and trying to negotiate a little bit, but I think they just need to be educated sometimes and just show that you can negotiate, and you're welcome to try, but be careful if you don't. This might be the one that you wanted, and it could go.
Yeah, I think the devil's in the data, isn't it? And the data these days is open to everybody. I think when we all collectively started our careers, when Andy did it, obviously he had a typewriter and a pigeon, and the rest of us had the internet. There wasn't much data for people. There wasn't much data for people to go on to look at what next door sold for, or what the average house price in the street was, or how many times it had been reduced. But now you can literally plug into Google Chrome to see when the property listing has been triggered or changed or updated. So there's no hiding out there for anyone. And if anyone wants those plugins, pop a message on the chat, and we'll happily guide you to it. I think a lot of this is affected by 1, confidence, and 2, interest rates, because 2 years ago, 18 months ago, when we were sat with 1% mortgage rate, or in 1% mortgage rates, if you needed to spend another £25,000 to get a house, you just lump it on the mortgage, and it would cost you £20 a month to service that debt. That's plucking it from the air. No trolls, please. Now it's a massive consideration when upsizing. It costs you something like £600 for every £100,000 you borrow per month to service the debt. It's a much bigger decision to make. So my question is, interest rates from the Bank of England were held last month. Mortgage rates have been dropping for the last 4 weeks. We've got 8 weeks left of the year. What are the predictions? New Year's Day, what do we reckon a 2-year fixed rate first time buyer mortgage is going to look like? Let's stick some sticks in the sand, Mike.
4.5.
4.5.
Yeah, it's coming down, but it's coming down like slowly, isn't it? Really slowly. But 4.5 is still good. Not as good as last year, I know, but it's still not bad. 4.5%. I've heard, funny enough, a couple of different mortgage brokers over the course of this month who are telling their clients, if they're looking to buy a property, just to wait until November, wait until December, and then's the time to buy. From 2 different brokers, I've heard that this month.
It might be the time to buy, but the house you want might not be.
That's the thing. Yeah,
there.
The right.
Right.
Yeah, it might not be.
Traditionally, there'll be less on the market through December, but what is on the market, the people will be motivated to do something with it. So I don't see it as bad advice. But
I think it might be a little bit different, though. I know December is usually a quieter month. I think this year might be a little bit different. I think there might be a bit more activity from buyers.
Buyers coming back.
Yeah.
What about you, Sean? Put your flag in the sand. What's your number?
Well, I'm seeing a lot of confidence from brokers as well at the moment, because plenty of the properties which are going under offer at the moment are just having desktop valuations and then just flying through. So I'm not even seeing any in-person valuations now. So clearly lenders are, confident with where their money's going. So I think it's going to go down. I think they're going to, try and sway a few more people into signing up. So I'll probably say 4.35.
There's a shake of the head from above. Where are you, Andy?
I know.
I like the cut of your jib, Sean. If I see 4.3,
well, I'm in Basingstoke. Everything's selling at the moment.
Hey, it's got to be said, because it's different everywhere, and people need to know what's happening in your market. If it's still happening in Basingstoke, people need to know it's still, a buyer or seller's market in where it is. So, Andy, you shook your head at 4.35. Where's your number?
3.95
Whoa.
on the 1st of January.
Whoa.
Write it down. Meady said it first.
Write it down.
Going into the new year, the lenders are going to want to have as many of the bars out there that they can. 2-year fixed rate, 3.95%. You heard it here first.
2 year.
I'm in. Sign me up. I'll
I'm
take
not lending
it.
you the money. I haven't got that money. But I just think because there's been such a shortage of sales the last 6 months, and I don't see the market changing dramatically going into in the last quarter.
Mhm.
So they've got a pot of money that they want to be lending out. There's going to be however many building sites, I think 180, 200 building sites you can lend money from, lending institutions. They're all going to be vying to give the money out. Sorry, somebody's saying, can I mortgage at 3.95%?
The phone started ringing already.
Yeah. So they're all going to be wanting to give the money to get the people into their pot. So I think if it continues as it is, with inflation going as it is, coming down, I know it stayed the same this week, but the bank were expecting it to be higher than it actually was. It's just, unfortunately, that with what's going on in Ukraine, Russia, Lebanon, Israel, Palestine, nobody knows what effect that's going to have on the global economy.
I think there's an element of, I think I'll buy you a nice bottle of wine if it's 3.95 in January. You can take that comment and put it in writing as well.
To buy back, Andy.
They're going to have to do something. There's nothing. There was talk of it, and very loose talk, but they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to do something in the first part of 2024 to get votes back.
Yeah.
Because at the moment they're so far behind in terms of, why would you want to go blue, stay blue, do whatever you want to do blue, when there's nothing there for the consumer to make them do that.
No, we talked about exactly the same thing on our podcast last week, that Rishi Sunak was hated by tenants and equally hated by landlords. He's managed to literally alienate the entire lettings market, which is an achievement to have both, to literally have no one on your side. Like, it's just an ultimately bad achievement from that point of view. So I agree, they've got to do something for homeowners, because they've lost landlords and tenants. I think a lot of landlords see there's very little option elsewhere. But going back to your interest rate, I get why everybody is saying interest rates are going to drop further on mortgages, because this time last year, banks were skying their interest rates, their mortgage rates, because they'd lent enough money for the year. They'd hit their lending targets. So it didn't really matter. They didn't know where interest rates were going to go. So they just left their rates high. They mitigated their risk. This year, there's been something like 200,000 less transactions than there was last year. So no bank realistically is hitting their lending targets. So they're still having to be competitive going deep into the year. And the reason Andy's saying something's going to start with a 3 is they're going to be trying to play catch up, and competition will drive that market into next year. And yeah, from a new homes perspective, that there was always an on-running joke for those of us who don't sell new homes that Help to Buy was a Help to Sell product for developers, because it gave them a competitive advantage over, if you had a new home and a second-hand home facing each other that were exactly the same. As a first-time buyer, you were always going to buy the new home because you could take it on a Help to Buy scheme. That advantage has been taken away from developers. And Andy, how influential are housing developers to governments in 2024?
Massive, absolutely massive. Because you've got, some of the bigger boys in London. I remember when I was working for one of the big ones that began with a B. They were always having conversations with Home Secretary, the Prime Minister, Chancellor. There wasn't. I don't think there was a quarter that went by that there wasn't a visit to the office by somebody, or they were going to have a discussion about how much the government needs to help the housing market. Because it's not just the housing market; it's the whole economy. If you build a house, and I think I wasn't going to say this, because I think I say it every time, but 10 grand every house, every transaction goes into the economy.
And it's multiples of that, obviously, when it's a brand new build.
Yeah. So if you've got, I don't know, say 200,000 transactions, times that by 10,000, that's 200 with a lot of noughts on the end of it. that's going into the economy. So it makes sense for the housing market to be, and the new build market to be active and to be prolific in terms of getting that. But they need to get the planning thing sorted out. They need to get the requirements for the buyers, the first-time buyers, to get back onto the ladders. But yes, the question...
I'm going to get a planning consultant on our podcast. I'm going to make it my mission.
If you can find one that you can talk to, you can have double your bottle of wine back that you're going to give me in January.
I know a couple. I don't know.
Or an MP. Get an MP on.
All the best.
Yeah. We'll see. If anyone knows an MP or a planning consultant, drop us a DM. If you are an MP or a planning consultant, drop us a DM. I'd love to have you on our podcast to have a chat and discuss how you're going to help us in 2024, how you're going to help the housing market, how you're going to help tenants, landlords, sellers, buyers, because it's obviously a massive economic move. Last topic, as you can see, it's dark outside. A lot of buyers do their viewings at 6 o'clock at night because they've finished work and the kids have finished school and all that kind of thing. Again, 8 weeks till Christmas. What are the do's and don'ts of marketing your property, particularly online and for viewings this time of year? Let's just go really quickly around the room and give people the top tips for advertising your house in the dark. In my case, get some bloody furniture in your living room, because otherwise it sounds like you're in an empty warehouse.
Turn the lights on before you get there.
Yeah.
If it's dark,
Andy, rather than turn the lights on, leave the house lit for your estate agent. I think is even better tip. Leave the house lit as you would want it to be done. We do our best to get there early, but doesn't always happen.
Yeah, and clutter looks like twice the amount of clutter in the dark as well, rather than on a sunny day with the doors open. Looks like a nice spacious room, but if you've got clutter and you've got stuff all over the kitchen sides, just get it away. First impressions.
Make sure the garden's lit.
Yeah.
Back garden lighting, very important.
Solar lights, something like that, yeah, to light the garden up. I don't know. I did a viewing last night at 6 o'clock and it was raining. I lit the candles in the house when I got there. Obviously, I asked for the owner's permission, first of all. But great.
Had a bath as well, did you?
I would have done that. That's not the strangest thing I've done on a viewing. It's in the presentation. So when the people arrived in the rain last night for the viewing, the house to them looks cozy. That was I know there's a thing about, like you just said, about turning all the lights on. But in the house I was in last night, if you had all the lights on, you'd have to put dark glasses on to get in there. So it was almost
Getting the lighting right, isn't it? That's what I said. If the seller leaves, oh God, don't leave candles on when you go out, but leave it done right, or leave instructions. Have that conversation with the estate agent that things are ready to switch on, get a fire lit if it's a gas fire, that kind of thing. So it's cozy, so it's ready. What about decorations? If you've got your house on the market, decorations, yes, or decorations, no.
I'd say go for decorations, but don't go mad.
It's a landslide.
No, I'm in the middle.
Well, yeah, one up, one down, and one in the middle.
Oh yeah, that's not a landslide, is it? The problem with decorations is you've got to be careful about how you decorate your house, because what might be nice for you might be completely different to somebody else.
Yeah.
So somebody might not like Christmas for whatever reason. They're going to a house that's decorated, and it's going to bring back memories of last Christmas when they separated from their husband or whatever. And that's going to put them off buying it. Don't want to stay around the house.
But surely,
one of the people who hate Christmas, Mike Childs.
Yeah. Well, surely, hang on. If decorations act as, they're like clutter, aren't they? Surely, you can't have a 15-foot square living room and an 8-foot tree in the middle of it. Just makes the room seem smaller, I think.
Well, you can't go wrapping your house in toilet roll at Halloween. That's not going to work.
So I think we'll call a truce on decorating. With decorating's okay, but to an absolute limit of not filling your house with it and making it look like the Who's from the Grinch just vomited all over your house. So, getting on for 6:30, Andy Mead is off to watch a Rod Stewart tribute act tonight. So if you're in the area,
from Guys of All the Luck.
What's their tribute act? What's their name?
I don't know.
Oh,
Bob Stewart.
oh yeah.
I think it's called Some Guys Have All the Luck, which is obviously a play on one of his songs.
Oh, we all know that.
Generational.
Can't be a bit
Anyway,
of
thanks for joining us. If you've got any questions, as ever, and you're not watching live, stick them in the comments, and any one of the four of us will do our best to get back in contact with you with the answer we can give. Until next Thursday, gents. Thanks very much.
See you later.
Yeah.
See ya.